V5 refresher. We need to talk about the V5 today because a lot of these have been in the market around for 4 or 5 years now, getting handed down to family, or they've been bought in the second-hand market without instructions. And people assuming lithium is all the same. We've been over this in our tutorials many times before. The V5 is a 12.6 system, okay, and it's NMC, nickel, magnesium, cobalt. And then you've got our V6s and our L series, which are 14.6 profile, and they're our light PO4, different chemistry. So let's talk about the V5. And I wanted to cover this off because it's 100 amp hour, it's 12.6 when it's fully charged. We are getting people to say, oh, the auto electrician said it should charge higher, it's not charging properly and there's something wrong with it. That's not the case. If you read the instructions, which are on our website at nomadpdu.com.au, you can click on instruction tutorials, you can click on the V5 and you can download the instructions, which if you bought one and got one second hand, then make sure you go and do that because it will save you a lot of grief in the long run. So what people are doing is they're charging with the wrong profile charger. They're using any type of charger they can find and they're charging it with the wrong charging profile. This takes 12.6 profile. And this is the AC/DC that comes with the unit. It charges at 12.6. The 14.6 ones are light PO4, quite a bit different in size. So you don't use a light PO4 one on this system because it's charging at 14.6. So what we're finding is that people are also being advised by the oil electrician that they can quite happily run a 25 amp DC/DC because the maximum charge of this is 25 amp at a given time. That's fine, but the DC/DCs that are 25 amp, we've covered this for years in our tutorials, they charge over 25 amp, they're about 26 and a half, so they overcharge the unit. Some people said I've been running for years, and I said that's fine, and I'll tell you why you've got away with it. If you've got a unit that's always close to full, it's like a sponge, it won't draw as much as it can when the sponge is like quite damp, okay? It only draw what it needs to get full. So if you've got one of these is dead flat and you've got a 25 amp DC/DC, I can pretty much guarantee you that it's going to overcharge the unit, and if you've got a load on it, the little red light will go on and off, on and off. And that's because it's overcharging, resetting, and maybe after half an hour of doing it, the BMS says, okay, you're trying to damage me, I'm not going to let you charge me at all. It's done, and you're going to have to ring us up, and you'll say it's not taking charge, and we'll say that's because the BMS has detected that you're trying to overcharge it, and you're trying to damage it, and it's doing it to protect yourself. The other thing is people are doing is they might say I've got a 200 watt solar blanket, and they'll take it unregulated and plug it into the regulated input, okay, which you don't do. This takes a regulated charge only, so you must have a reg between the solar panel and the unit, and again it's 12.6 profile on the MPPT, so on the controller. But if you've got a 200 watt solar panel or less, get rid of the controller, just connect it directly to the red and black poles, put an adapter like this if you like, connect it, and as long as it's 200 watt or less, it'll really struggle to get over 9 or 10 amp anyway, and that's a 10 amp MPPT built for the unit and a charge at 12.6 profile. And then you're done. You don't have to worry about it. And then you can connect it like so. So again, maximum 25 amp charge at any given time. It's got to be the right charge profile. Don't direct connect to a vehicle either. Some people are direct connecting from the crank battery because the oil electrician says it's fine. You can connect it from the secondary battery in the, say, the vehicle, and put a relay and connect it to this. It's not regulated. Okay, you can put 80 amp in there and it's going to damage the unit. So you must have a DC/DC between the crank if you're going to run it in the vehicle. So it's something to remember. So again, like I said, in the second-hand market, you've got these where people borrowing them to anybody without instruction. The instructions you must read are on the Nomadpdu website, and that way you won't damage the unit. What you can run on these units as well, so that's 25 amp max output, and what I would be doing is I'd run like a Y lead like so out of these, so I can run a fridge or whatever else. I'd run a fridge and an inverter. I want to talk about inverters. With 20 amp max output, you can run a 1000 watt inverter, but you can't use the 1000 watt. A 1000 watt inverter connected to the unit, it's not doing anything until you put a load on it. So when you connect it up like I've got here, this is a 1500 watt inverter. It's not suitable for the V5. This is using the V6s because they have the output of 100 amp, which is quite significantly different and larger. But you could connect that to the unit, and I know that these two 18 volt charging Ryobi's, they won't draw more than say 220 watt when I'm running both. So I could run that inverter, even though it looks like a massive inverter. I can run it, but I can't exceed the 20 amp, which will tell me on the screen here. So it's really simple. Follow the instructions and you won't hurt the unit, and you'll get a lot of life out of the unit. The other thing I would say is that if you've got one of these and you want to continually use it, it's better for the battery. So what I suggest to people is if you go home and you want these put these in the garage, put a 200 watt solar panel on the roof, unregulated. It won't cost you much to do that. Connect it to one of these, to the red and black. Then run your big DC fridge in the garage to keep all your soft drinks and your beers cold, whatever, all the time. Don't think that it's going to ruin the battery or make its life shorter. The fact is, if you don't use these and you leave them for 6 months at a time without being used, you'll get less life out of them because it's a chemistry, there's chemical inside it. So the more you use it, the better it likes it. So the fact is, the more you use it, you're going to get more life out of it. So we have even the V3s and 4s been around for 6 and 7 years and they still run. They might run at 90% efficiency. They might only get 12.2, 12.3 because they are coming to the end of life. But they still work because they're being used continually. So again, use the Nomad in your house, in your fresco, run your fridge at home, and don't worry that you're going to damage the unit. Get it running 24/7, it's fine. What you don't do with these, and the other thing that what people are doing, which can, because of dirty power coming in, is connecting the AC/DC charger to the unit and leaving it on 24/7. That's kind of defeating the purpose of renewable energy. You don't want to use the AC from your house, which you pay for, to charge up your renewable power source, when you can literally just use a solar panel, throw that out there and keep it charged and don't worry about it. So you can leave this on with a solar panel out there, running through the MPPT, with your fridge running 24/7, every day of the week, for years, and it will do no damage to the unit and it'll charge perfectly. You don't leave the AC/DC chargers plugged in because there's all sorts of different currents coming out of your AC port, and it's not a good idea to leave it plugged in to the unit. It's like any charge, you don't leave batteries on charge 24/7, 7 days a week from an AC/DC. You just don't do it because, again, the chargers will fail because they're working overtime, they get hot, and when they get hot, there's components in there, they will get, they'll get damaged and they won't last that long. So the AC/DC chargers have a 12-month warranty, and there's a reason for that because people do abuse them. People leave them plugged in, people charge them with all sorts of things, get dirty power from all over the place, which we don't know that's causing it. So that's the V5. Get the instructions from the nomadpdu.com.au website. Make sure you read the instructions. If you're not sure, send us an email, contact@nomadpdu.com.au. I'd rather you ask the questions before you do some damage to it. Unfortunately, people are going out and doing what they think, or they've been told, or they assume, and then they have an issue and then they'll contact us, and then we've got to go through the troubleshooting for you. So best thing is, if you're not sure, get in contact with us. That's a 12.6 volt system. It's full at 12.6. At 12.4 to 12.6, there's no point trying to leave it in there and it's getting 1/4 of an amp in. It's not going to get any more. At 12.4, disconnect it. It's 98.9% full. Do that and you're not going to run into problems with those. So that's a V5 refresher. So hopefully that helps people to not run into some problems going forward. So again, we'll talk again short.